Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. What a crazy rapid-fire championship Saturday we had. So many quick matches today, incredibly impressive performances from many teams that are making the 4 teams remaining on the 4 remaining spots here on Championship Sunday. Crazy storylines though, with some teams not delivering at all. Plenty to dive into today. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe. If you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. Also, made an appearance on the desk today. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for all the support that was shown. Honestly, really appreciate it. Every one of you guys watching. This would not be possible without every single person who's ever watched a video of mine, so really do appreciate it. But we have no more time to waste, baby. We've got to talk about the pit first of all, because challenges, of course, was going on today. Must be noted here, we've got the Boston Breach. Doug said to Martin is sleeveless, despite the minus 30 degrees it was at times outside. Certainly with the wind chill, it was very cold. I came back just now from the venue, it was minus 10 Celsius, but it felt bloody boiling compared to what it was like this morning. And just the update on the Boston Breach Academy, I think Beans actually got a warning here by pointing at the other team. Apparently that's too aggressive, so the referee tells him to calm it down. But in the end, Boston get eliminated. Top 12, I believe they were in the end. Boston Breach Academy out of the tourney earlier than expected. Doug apparently dropped a donut nap too. 6-0 loss on Hotel. That, of course, unfortunate for them at the home tournament. Now we're going to talk about exactly what's happened on the professional side. And these were some quick series. Boston Breach versus Los Angeles Guerrillas. This is a pretty crazy map too, actually. Map 1 was very closely contested on the Fortress. And then game 2, Vivid was getting hyped. I mean, Exceed was like, honestly, their best player, Los Angeles Guerrillas, this map. He made a rather questionable play though on the final round, and then Vivid just got so aggressive here. Well, it wasn't maybe necessary for Vivid to chow this, just given the fact that, he can just wait and make sure the bomb can't get the fuse, goes for the chow, it gets the head glitch, wins the gunfight, got up 2-0, and I know that some people were coming up with a conspiracy that, oh yeah, all the teams on the right-hand side of the stage won. That's not true, I believe, because Boston were on the left-hand side of the stage, so the argument that, oh yeah, it's just the PCs or whatever, I don't think that holds any water personally. These guys were clearly on the left-hand side of the stage, and they got the first 3-0 of the day, so I saw that mentioned, but yeah, just wanted to say that that's not fully true, although for most of the series, indeed, it was the team on the right-hand side of the stage absolutely frying the opposition. Owakening was talking trash on main stage as well. Awesome to see a team at the home major with so many great fans getting some good success. The crowd was absolutely wild, certainly in the final series against OpTic. We'll dive into here in a few minutes' time. But yeah, quick fire series, Owakening 1.5. On the other side of things, Arcitys couldn't deliver. I mean, he had 42 kills in one map yesterday. Today, he had 44 in a single series. Assault had less than that, right? So, not sure what to do with aBeZy. It's not exactly massively surprising, this result, especially against the home crowd team in Boston Breach. This series, though, was a massive surprise. I was on the desk before this series, and I was thinking, you know what, Toronto, is this finally their time to get one over on FaZe? It feels like the right time. They were looking so good going into the weekends, but they got bodied. I mean, my predictions I made on the desk were terrible. I said Toronto would win, and then for the OpTic series against Minnesota, I said that it wouldn't be a 3-0. We know what happened there. So, yeah, maybe I just jinxed Toronto somehow after gassing them up pretty hard. They just did nothing today. I think this is partly FaZe just doing what they do sometimes. Like when FaZe play at their level, we know how difficult they can be to stop. And every fifth series right now, FaZe will just have a series like this. Doesn't matter who they're playing, they're going to absolutely fry them, it seems. They did this probably every other series back in Cold War, but they've still got it in their locker. I think game 1, it was quite interesting because I guess, like, Toronto decided to chow them on Mikado, a map that they are very good at, FaZe. I thought it was a bit surprising. And also playing them here on game 2, LSC, Low Search and Destroy, where FaZe have also been very good. They made that great comeback against Los Angeles Guerrillas online. Thought it was some interesting map set to start out the series. But even on Hotel Control, a game mode where Toronto have been so good, I think Toronto's, basically they're the best team in the game on Hotel Control. Certainly their defensive round win rate is way higher than the entire league. This is a great play as well here by aBeZy to just take down Scrappy. And individually, no one really turned up from Toronto. As well, we'll see some trash talk here in a second from Drazah. All bark, no bite, he reckons, on the Toronto side of the stage. And Miles was talking about the idea that maybe this Toronto team kind of is lacking a bit of a leader in a sense. They're lacking maybe that Ben Bance type character to pick them up when they're down maybe. And okay, when things are going their way, Toronto can fry, but when they're not looking so good, they just got bodied, right? And FaZe a team with a lot of experience. Simp just went off in the search and destroy, and this series was not close at all. 8-0 now on LAN. Like, that's a crazy record for FaZe to have against a team like Toronto, given how many great series it feels like we have between the two. Some reason they just have no ice when they play FaZe, and this is a dominant series to secure FaZe again top 3. Simp's record of top 3s, I mean, if you exclude the Modern Warfare stuff, is a bit different, but if you include Modern Warfare, something like Simp has played 27 tournaments in his career, and he's been top 3 in 24 of them. Like, that is absolutely outrageous. And even FaZe not looking so good coming into the tourney, they still find a way to get top 3 with relative ease. And tomorrow's game against Minnesota is going to be massive as well to determine the first grand finalist of Championship Sunday. today. Slasher was like, GG's, easy 3-0. And I asked him in the interview afterwards, like, what do you think about the Scrappy trash talk? And he basically said, look, I'm not one to start the trash talk, but I finished the trash talk. I thought that was such a cold statement from Slasher, really. Basically saying, you know, I put these things to bed. I don't usually go out of my way to trash talk at the start, but if someone wants to trash talk me, then they're going to get shut down, as Toronto and Scrappy most certainly did in this series. And yeah, it was cool to be on the desk afterwards as well. Bit of Rabception right here, kind of weird. So we'll move on kind of quickly. And these were the overall numbers. I mean, look at this. Everyone massively negative on the Toronto side, and everyone massively positive on the FaZe side. This is one of those series that FaZe used to do back in the Cold War days, when they would just do the Aches DoorDash challenge and win the series before the DoorDash guy could get to your door. Other meal transportation providers are of course available, but you know, nonetheless, this was a rapid fire series from FaZe. The next series though, again, I was expecting this one. I thought, okay, we've had all these 3-0s, but surely OpTic Minnesota, that's got a game 5 written all over it, has it not? And I still think it kind of had. But Minnesota came out swinging here, and I know that a lot of people have suggested that Minnesota are one of the real teams to stop this tournament. They feel to have really clicked now, it seems, at the start of the season. I talked to Bance about it afterwards, and he said that at the start, they're playing a bit too fast. He feels like what they do now is they maybe do worse in scrims, but they're playing at a little bit of a slower pace. It works better on LAN, and the pacing seems to be much better now there than it was at the start of the season. It felt like everyone was a bit uncoordinated at the start of the season, but yes, OpTic got kind of exposed hard, I think, arguably here in this hard point. Like, they got completely outplayed. There was one moment where they were in kitchen, and I think it was Bance in kitchen, and Shotzzy went in, died. 2 seconds later, Huke went in, died. Then Dashy went in, and it was just like there was no trades. They were so staggered, and you know, Shotzzy is kind of up and down player, right? Sometimes he absolutely fries, sometimes he just tries to do a bit too much maybe and gets kind of shut down. And that's the thing with this OpTic team. When they're on points, they are incredibly difficult to stop, but if you can get them kind of in your own rhythm, then they do like to run in and die effectively and give their lives up for free. So definitely a lot of things to work on here for OpTic. Rokkr, I think, exposed them pretty hard in this game on hardpoint, to be honest. And then game 2, OpTic search and destroy dominance couldn't remain. They lost that one as well. And then game 3, control. Funny really to see the rematch here on aLLeY control, as of course the drama happened at the start of the season with the SAE thing, and that was on this very map mode combination, and they completely shut them out here. So honestly, Bance has been going crazy. I don't know if it's Major 2 Bance, just like what he did back in Cold War Major 2, who was on a different level, but Attach's been playing well. Afro as well. I mean, this guy is just so good. I've been saying it for so long at this point. He took over the search and destroy, had a great map in the control as well, and yeah, that was a key reason why they did this. And also Cammy, like, obviously he had a bit of a rough start to the season. He talked in the interview afterwards that he feels like he's, you know, starting to find his form where he needs to be. And finally, this Minnesota team that I was gassing up pretty heavy, to be honest, at the start of the season is starting to come good. Top 3 guaranteed. They play FaZe tomorrow for the first one in the grand finals, and that is not an easy one to call at all. I mean, look at these numbers, man. iLLeY with a 0.6, Shotzzy with a 0.7, Dashy was trying his best here with the most damage by an absolute mile. But yeah, that's the thing. Dashy isn't always going to drop a 1.4, and if that's your win condition, then you can struggle a bit, right? And the Shotzzy Huke SMG partnership can, you know, if things aren't going their way, things can happen where they just die and basically don't play so well as a team. Whereas Rokkr perfected that this series. Afro, Bance, both with 1.7s for your SMG departments. I mean, that's pretty much unheard of, and what a dominant series result it was. Before we talk about the OpTic final series today, though, we've got to discuss another absolute battering, and that was Toronto versus Thieves. This was such a quick series. I'm only going to show one kind of actual moment of the series here, because Thieves pretty much won game 1 comfortably. Game 2 went their way as well. LAN at Thieves actually come diffy. Octane was going off game 1 as well. Looked like a Toronto comeback could have been on the cards. It wasn't to be. And yeah, this team just levels up on LAN, and it's really interesting to see. They've now won 9 maps in a row on their run through the subline, or through Florida first, then the subliners, then Toronto. To beat all those teams 3-0 after losing to OpTic 3-2 is rather impressive indeed. And I do wonder, like I said earlier today, I'm not sure I can quite see them getting to a level where they can win a championship, but I might have just been disproven with this result as well. My predictions have not been so good right now. And Toronto, from starting out 16-6 in Major 2, they went 0-6 today. No maps won, got completely wiped off the face of the earth. And I think that was in part, I mean large part, due to Toronto playing pretty terrible today, to be honest, and not regaining at all. It felt like they'd kind of broken down after the FaZe series, and certainly after round 1 of the control in game 3 against Thieves, they'd absolutely broken down, and Thieves win the series comfortably in the end. And even Octane afterwards was just saying, yeah, these guys, they just can't touch me right now, feeling incredibly confident, and it's good to see. Right? We knew that Thieves would get better. The question to me was, would they get good enough to be able to win another event, go back to back, or whatever the case might be? But they seem seemed to be getting to that point, right? Because, you know, Kenny back in business is playing very well. The entire team was on point. Scrappy's like, what a terrible day. And then we get this one from Drazah. Good to see that the king of the trash talk, or at least he's trying to be the king of the trash talk, right? He's clapping back against one of the other wannabe kings of the trash talk in Scrappy. All bark, no bite, he says. GG's Toronto 1-3-0. Octane is everything, and we can see that when we look at the numbers, with Octane dropping a 1.55 most damage in the lobby. And oh baby, another 3-0 to close out the day, but this one, honestly, the Boston home crowd, I'm sure that, and of course OpTic have a lot of support in these crowds as well, wherever they go, but I'm sure they will feel like they should have done better this series, because all of these maps, really, Boston coulda, shoulda won. Game 1 was absurd, and Dashy, honestly, every time I feel like, okay, finally a day's gonna go past without Dashy on the thumbnail, he's done it again. Look at this play. This is basically an impossible situation to win unless Dashy gets the 3 kills that he does. Boston in position, they're up about 20-30 points in this as well, right at the end of the game. OpTic bounce back, get a lot of kills, then they go 3 dead. Dashy gets one up top, flies off the top ropes here to take down Nero, but that's not it actually, because his teammates are spawning miles away. Vivid is super close, right, and they're already spawning on Dashy, so he has to get at least one more here for them to have a chance to win this game. Vivid comes in quick. You could argue Vivid should have played this slightly differently just to contest or whatever, because his team was spawning closer than OpTic were. Goes for the Chaldo. Dashy gets the timing perfect here, jumping out of the hard points, getting the kill on Vivid, and by the time he does get traded, iLLeY's there in time to get a kill on Big Wake, and that is enough for the OpTic guys to get there. I mean, that is like one of the craziest maps at hardpoint you are going to witness, and it was Dashy again. Now, we've got to, of course, give credit to Shotzzy here, because he was 40 kills in this map. He was almost there to break the kill record, of course, of Arcitys that set it just yesterday at 42. He had 40 here, so that's the thing with Shotzzy, right? It's kind of like fry or be fried, it seems, with this guy's playstyle. So much fun to watch when he's on, and when he is on, wow, he can drop 40 and take over a map in a series and win you something in this fashion against a team that's maybe slightly more coordinated in Minnesota Rokkr. Then they might have to adapt that a little bit over time, but when it works, it certainly works for OpTic, right? I just think that the way they play, there's going to be some inherent inconsistency in their placings, but they've made Championship Sunday. We said going into this tournament, that was OpTic's goal, I think, for the tourney, was to make at least top 4, see what happens from there, and then they can take that momentum hopefully into their own major in Texas very soon. But honestly, despite Dashy clutching up big time game 1, he actually lost a couple of 1v1s here in this game, as Boston took a 4-1 advantage on this search and destroy, here on Fortress, and it looked like, okay, sure, they're in a good position, tie up the series, we're going to go 1-1, who knows what happens from there. Nero was honestly trying his best here, but the 3-0 gods just said that it was going to be a 3-0 regardless of what happened, and OpTic came all the way back to win this one 6-4. Some good ice from the OpTic guys. When backs were against the wall, they basically just said, screw it, we're going to run at them, and it seems to be a pretty good strat for these guys here on Fortress, that sometimes they just say, alright, Shotzzy, do your thing, just who cares what the strat book says, who cares what actually is a good strat theoretically, let's just run and use the gun skill and get the kills. They go up 2-0, but that wasn't it, to be honest, right? iLLeY went off in this game too as well, and I was kind of confused, right, because the second map of the series against Minnesota, he was like 1 in 7 and still had the sniper outs. Thought that was a bit questionable, but you know, when it works, and iLLeY went 11 in 6 here, fought the dub, and then this control, I mean, man, I don't know how this happened, to be honest. This first one, 12-4 in OpTic's favor. They did this back-to-back round. It was actually crazy on the offense. Dashy in this position getting all the kills. It was actually a carbon copy round here, round 1 versus round 3 in this map, because, I mean, somehow Dashy gets in time. They get all the kills despite having no lives on the board. OpTic get the kills, and they get in the control point, and then they did it again a few rounds later. This time the lives are a bit closer, but actually the lives were, I think, again in Boston's favor. They had one chance to make this work, OpTic. They get in, this time it's iLLeY looking over, gets all the kills, and Boston, again, they broke down game 1. They kind of broke down here, to be honest. A 6-3 advantage at this point they really shouldn't be squandering. I guess they just didn't check for iLLeY, really lost all the gunfights. iLLeY gets 3 kills, and Dashy's in the hardpoint soaking up the time, delivers the 2-1 edge. They eventually close out the map and the series, another 3-0. Absolutely mad series, there's no doubt about it. I know that some people saw when Huke walked out and didn't smile, didn't make any, no facial expression to Mook. This guy was locked in, and I mean, yeah, Boston will feel like they should have done better there. Top 6 of their major, it's not the end of the world for Boston. Would have been really cool to see them make Sunday here, but OpTic, I do believe, are the better team. They took down Thieves earlier on. They lost, obviously, emphatically to what seemed like a very good Rokkr right now, and these were the overall numbers of the series, right? Nero did his best, but this guy, it wasn't to be. Vivid and Methodz had pretty rough series, but Shotzzy was, of course, the standout. Funny that Dashy goes negative here, despite arguably making the game-winning play in that game 1, but Shotzzy a 1.31, Huke positive as well. When it works, it certainly works for these guys, and to be honest, you got to say, they do just love playing at Boston. Whenever these guys need a win, play play Boston, and it seems to work out in their favor, whether on LAN or online. And just to mention then, before we close out the video, because yeah, tomorrow's going to be a massive day here at Championship Sunday, but Zeo, after we talked about Simp earlier and his record of making top 3s, Zeo continue their 12 straight tournaments, placing top 4 across 3 different titles throughout Modern Warfare, Cold War, and now here into Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 as well. But hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.